All right. Hello everyone. Welcome to another live stream. Our guest will be joining us in a few minutes. So in this live stream, we are going to talk about code security. So this is like a coffee chat where I get to invite guests that have an expertise in Python and different fields. And then we talk about a particular topic. And today it's code security. So here with me is Daniel Adebayo. Daniel, please introduce yourself.
Hi, Sophie. Thank you for having me. My name is Daniel, and I am a developer advocate, a software engineer, and then also like a founder. I'm the creator of WAPS AI, kind of like an AI code review assistant that helps you with code quality and then code security reviews right inside of your ID. Thank you for having me once again.
Awesome, awesome. And I'm excited to learn more about code security with you. So, well, let's just get started. So, in your opinion, what is code security and why is that important to developers or anyone that codes?
Yep. Great question. I would say code security, right? It's kind of like the process of making your code more secure um, by finding vulnerabilities, right? Fixing those vulnerabilities and also preventing them, right? So after finding and fixing, you have to like ensure that you are preventing those vulnerabilities from coming into your code again or preventing yourself from writing vulnerable code again, right? So I'll say that's code security. And why is it important to developers, right? I would say it is important because it helps startups, I would say startups in general, and then developers prevent data breach. So once you have like a data breach, you lose user trust basically. So
Yeah.
it is important to help you prevent this data breach so as to not lose your user trust, right? Code security also helps you stay compliant because currently we currently have like a boom, the AI boom, right? You have AI coding assistants that helps you generate code and all that. So you have to make sure that your application is compliant, right? So basically, code security helps you stay compliant, right? Yeah.
Oh, that's really that's a great way for you to explain what code security is. And hi everyone, thank you for joining once again. So if you have any question about code security or you have any question relating to the topic, you can drop it in the comment and Daniel is here to answer the question for you. So, Daniel, you talked about compliance. I'm very sure that some of us watching are beginners. So, please, what is compliance exactly?
Yeah. So I think I should start this way, right? So we have the banks, we have dev tool companies, we have healthcare companies and all that, right?
Yeah.
And the government would always require them to um, store their user data securely um, to prevent like cyber attack, right? Should not like share probably a particular country's information, right? Um, so basically, they require these companies to have um, a security compliance, right? Um, so I would say security compliance can be in a form in different forms. Basically, there's SOC compliance, which is SOC 2. We have HIPAA. We also have others, depending on like your location, basically, and depending on whatever you want, right? So for you to get this compliance, basically, you need to ensure that your code is secure and compliant. Your cloud, so basically where you like deploy um, your application, right? You
Yeah.
follow like every security standard. Um, so aside from that, also the way you share and store information, are they encrypted? So basically, before you are able to acquire any compliance certificate, you have to like go through all this process of They have to check your code. Like, are you compliant? Like, is it secure? They have to check like your cloud environment. Are you secure there? They also have to ask you, oh, what kind of encryption are you using? How are you encrypting user data, and how are you sharing them, right? So these are just like some of the ways. These are some of like the processes you go through to like achieve a particular compliance certificate. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's really good. Okay, so you made mention of adhering to certain code practices, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are some basic code practices that like a beginner developer, especially in the Python field, should adhere to or should know about?
Yeah. So the first one I would always say is least privilege, right? So you have to prevent giving every user probably like the entire access. So you can't make every user to be able to like delete other users, right? Right. So you can't make a particular user to be able to maybe edit their I would say maybe like edit their authorization basically, right? You have to prevent users from maybe accessing your admin panels, right? So I would say
Yeah.
um, a specific standard can be preventing users from having access to some kind of things, basically, right? So, we have something like admin, we have members, and probably we have something like a moderators, right? Right? So you can probably just follow that steps when building an application, right? You give a particular user probably a member kind of access. So what they can do is probably just create, let's just say, in a blog application, these users can only create a particular blog post, and these users can edit that blog post, and these users can delete that blog post. So that's like kind of like the pattern. So not giving users the entire access to your platform, right? Because if you give me, for example, if you give me the entire access, I might just do whatever I want and probably just delete the platform entirely, right? So that's like one standard.
Yeah.
So also adding barriers, right? So if you are able to, I'll give like for an instance, if a particular user is able to bypass your authentication, you should have another defense mechanism that can block that user from doing another thing, right? After bypassing your authentication, maybe you have a defense system that basically prevents them from accessing payment informations. You have another barrier that prevents them from accessing like the dashboard and all that, right? So adding like multiple layers of defense, right? So another principle can be, I would say, security by design. We can also call it shift left, right? So yeah, Uh, can you see me? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so we also have security by design. I also call it like shift left, right, in my own words. So implementing software testing at the earliest stage, right? So for example, at WAPS, the main goal behind the WAPS was that initially when someone on my team create a PR, right? So they have to like write that code locally, probably on VS Code or on Cursor, and then they have to like commit it, right? And then push, right? They also have to create a PR, right? And so once they create a PR, they request for a review, right? And so after requesting for a review, maybe myself or any other person can come review that code. You can imagine like the amount of time it takes, right? I also, so after detecting a particular vulnerability, I might just say, okay, go back and edit this. So the person would have to like go back to VS Code again and then make the edits, also push again, right? So for WAPs, we wanted to like cut that entire process short, right? So we wanted to have like a code review assistant that can help you with security reviews and code quality reviews directly inside of your IDE, right? So once you write a particular code, you can just click on review code or review your file. It will generate a security report and also like a code quality report for you, right? It tells you, oh, this particular code you've written, this block is vulnerable, and this is how you can fix it. It can also tell you that, oh, this the way you've written this function is probably wrong, and this is how you can
Okay.
um, fix it, right? So some
Yeah.
companies have these scanners in place. Maybe when you're writing your code, while some have this in place when you push that code. Maybe some have it in place when you probably create a PR. So you should have like a standard whereby you add these scanners that can help you check your code for issues and all that. So these are like some practices that you can follow to write secure code. I mean, there are more. I don't know. I think I have a blog post on it. So yeah, I would probably
Oh yeah,
share when I
yes.
find it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely share it, and I will be adding it to the video description on YouTube. So you made mention of how developers can make their code secure by using, so that when I started coding, I came across some videos that talked um, SQL injection, user input, or something that relates to that. So, how do you think that a developer, like a beginner developer with just basic knowledge of their programming language, for example, Python, will be able to prevent such an attack while taking a user input?
Yeah. Like I mentioned earlier, security by design. Like I mentioned, there's a shifted process. Maybe adding scanners at every stage when you write the code, when you make the commit, and probably when you create a PR. So WAPS is like a very good example of a product that you can use as a beginner, right? Without even having any idea of security, what is SQL injection, without having an idea of it, right? You can install WAPS right inside of VS Code. As you write that code, probably just tell WAPS to scan your code for you, check for vulnerability. So once you find a particular vulnerability, it gives you like a detailed explanation. Oh, this is why we flag this as a vulnerable code, right? And this is how you can fix that vulnerability, right? So I think WAPS is mainly built for beginners and advanced
Okay.
developers, right? It helps them like
Yeah.
understand about vulnerability directly inside of their IDE without creating a PR or without having like a senior engineer to review that code, right? So WAPS is like a very good example of a tool you can use as a beginner. I also have other tools that you can check out. Cogia is there, but Cogia does not like do code quality checks. Cogia helps you with scanning your code and also helps you with fixing them, just similar to what WAPS does. There are also other tools you can check out like Snake. Snake has, I think they have an ID extension that you can always use, install it for free. As a beginner, you can just install these tools and check. So aside from this, I know this channel is like Python specific. So as a Python dev,
Yeah.
there are also like built-in packages that you can use, right? We have Bandit, right? So you can install Bandit. Bandit will help you check your Python code for vulnerabilities. Or I don't think Bandit recommend fixes. It just checks it for vulnerability and then give you like an explanation on why it flagged it as a vulnerable code. And probably you can use Git WAPS or Git Secure to like generate a fix for it. And also Cogia. Cogia is also a tool for generating fixes for vulnerable code. Yeah. So these are like the tools you can check out. We have Bandit, WAPS, Cogia, anyone. Yeah, a lot.
So
Yeah, I
I'm
hope this
trying to
helps you.
get the link for Bandit and the other one you mentioned. I have added the video. I'm sorry, the websites for WAPS and Git Secure. So if you can share the URL for Bandit and the other one you mentioned, that would be great as well. So I can just add that in the description.
Okay. So we have Cogia.
Okay. So
So
while
let me
you look
try.
for that, yeah.
Yeah. Mm, so I sent it to you. The link to Cogia. I'll also check Bandit. Have
Okay.
you seen Bandit?
No, I haven't seen Bandits yet.
Okay. So Bandit is basically like a package, not like a platform. So you have to install Bandit and then run it on your Python code. So I think I sent the documentation for Bandit, so you can check it out. Yeah, I think this works.
All right. So Kogger and Bandits. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, I have another question. So, many people know that Python for if any developer is using Python for web development, is definitely like a backend focused tool. So, and I'm very sure that you have used Python for backend. So, how do you ensure that your API endpoints are secure when they are in use by the front end developer or when they are used on the end user side of the web application?
Yeah. So I would say Python has its own built-in security
Yeah.
measures in place that helps you like ensure that your APIs are secure. So firstly, I have two methods of ensuring that my APIs are secure, right? The first one is using static application security testing tools. So basically, these tools helps you check your code for vulnerability, right? So the
Okay.
function you've written for like the upload blog post API, it helps you scan that function, help you scan that code, right, and check if there are vulnerabilities. So aside from that, there are also runtime security tools that you can use. There's up to I would send the link to it, so it helps you with security testing, right? It helps you like check your API for vulnerabilities, and there are also other tools you can use like Notify. Notify can help you check your API for security vulnerabilities, right? So what I do is I use a static application security testing tool like WAPS while writing my code, and then on the runtime side, I use tools like Abdo, Notify to check my APIs, right, for vulnerabilities. Yeah, so those are like the two ways. There should be like more ways, but then these are like the two major ways me I use personally to ensure that my applications are secure. Yeah.
Awesome. Wow. Okay, so if you would share the links, I would share that as well. So yes, I
Okay.
think I don't think I've used like Nullify before. I don't think I've used Nullify before. But one thing that I know that has been helpful to me, because this is something that I never knew until the API was used by the front end developer, was by adding the cores, that's CORS. So it's um a setting that is set on your settings.py that regulates where the API endpoints can be used and should be used. So I think that's one simple thing that a lot of
Yeah.
beginner backend developers don't know about and should actually know about that. Because I remember the very first time I got to work on a project with a front end developer, I finished the API endpoint and it was ready to be consumed. He consumed that and it was throwing all manner of errors, saying that it cannot be accessed here. And I had to use Stack Overflow back then to debug and found out that I needed to set the cause. So that's something that you really need to know about. I've never used Nullify or any third party tool in my API endpoint.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually true. I think I should add this, although I mentioned that Django has its own built-in security measures that ensure that your
Yeah.
code and your Django is secure. You can also do like these little things like not showing the entire error messages, right? Just giving the users not like you don't give them like in-depth error messages into like the actual issue. Just give them like a brief, oh, error accepting your data and all that, right? Just give them like a brief message that okay, this is what's happening with the API, right? because if you give them the entire information, for example, if they are hackers or malicious users, they can take advantage of that error message, and then they
Yeah.
would use the flaws to attack your system, right? So these are like the basic things you can do. But then these tools I've mentioned covers everything in detail, right? It helps you get all these issues and then explain how to fix it for you. So that was why I mentioned WAPs and Modify. We also have app tool for Dast. So yeah, you can always check out these tools. So they basically just simplify the entire process and do the checks for you. Yeah.
Yeah, true. I mean, I have to agree with that. And another reason why I think that it's necessary to give a simple error message is because if if the error message would be shown on the front end, um your your user, let's say it's not a malicious user, it's a simple user that is trying to figure out how to use your application or your product, and they see crazy error message, trust me, they will be confused, and it's definitely going to affect the user experience of that product or that tool. But if it's like a simple message like this email address has already been used, or or you need to add at then the email provider, that will make it really really easy for the user to use your tool and to really understand it.
Yeah. That actually works. I think there are more. If you want me to keep talking, I would always bring them up. So avoid displaying your environment variables on your API endpoint.
Yes.
Don't show your AWS token, your AWS key, your OpenAI key. Don't display to users, please. Don't do that. There are a lot of reports. I wrote an article, I think 9 months ago, of why startups should care about security from day zero. And I used a startup as a case study. The startup name is called Resend. So basically, what happened was that they exposed their environment variables on the client side, and I think the attacker was able to use that environment variable to get access to some information like card details. I can't remember, but then the attacker was able to like use it to get some information like card details, user emails, and all that. Although they had some other security
Yeah.
measures in place like encryption, so they were able to like encrypt some data, right? But then the attacker still got access to their system, right? That's like the summary of the whole thing. So please prevent yourself from displaying these environment variables to your users. You can use like there are multiple tools that you can use. There's .env in Python that you can use. There's also like there are also secret managers you can use.
Yeah.
We have onboard base, we have AWS secret manager, we have Azure, we have Doppler. You can always like pick up these tools. They are free for like individual developers and use them to manage your environment variables, right? So they prevent you from exposing these environment variables to like your users, the client side or your API, right? So yeah, these are like things you can do, yeah, to prevent um, API breach and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then another thing, I know that at least once in a developer lifetime, they may have done this mistake is pushing your secret key or your API key to GitHub.
I actually did that a lot, like a lot, a lot. I pushed my Django secret key to GitHub like a lot. Even open source projects, private projects, I pushed a lot of secret keys there. And I think this is where WAPS comes in. WAPS helps you
Yeah.
prevent this. It helps you scan your code and detect these keys, right? Before you even commit them, right? Before committing it,
Yeah.
and say, oh, commit, right? And then push. WAPS tells you that, oh, there's a secret credential here. Remove it and then use like probably like a secret manager to manage these secret credentials, right? Um, I think GitHub also like implemented a new feature. I think you need to enable it before it start working. So GitHub currently prevents you from committing, I think committing or pushing um, secret credentials to GitHub, right? tools like GitLab currently, I don't think they do that, but GitHub has like
Oh,
gone a step further to prevent you from pushing environment variables. I mean, it has cost like a lot of companies millions of dollars. Them pushing their OpenAI key, and these attackers will use those keys to like run their own models and then run their own. And you know how expensive running probably GPT-4 on your product is, right? So yeah, the bills can
yeah.
like escalate. Yeah.
True, true. Okay, so now let's talk about authentication best practices. So, what methods do you use in your personal projects to ensure that your authentication process is secure and a malicious user cannot really attack through authentication or authorization?
Cool. So I currently use Django, and I think Django does like a very good job in like not making me stress myself in terms of authentication. To be honest,
That's true.
there's a package called Django All Auth that helps you with all things authentication and authorization. So that is what I currently use. Probably when I use another framework or library that does not help me with that, I might probably just go deeper into it. But then Django like does that for me. Like I mentioned earlier, Django has like a built-in security tool, so I just use
Yeah.
those privileges myself and not stress myself to do any other thing, right? But then um, one method I would say is okay when implementing an alt is you sending users probably codes to their mail, right? There are a lot of so this issue we had it at Git Secure when we were like implementing our alt. So some users basically just create a fake mail, create an account, and boom, they already have access to our dashboard. Right? They do all sorts of things and then probably log out. They can also like replicate. So we have like a free plan, we have a pro plan. So once they exhaust that free plan, they go and create another email again, right? To create an account and then use that free plan again. So they do this process continuously. So what we did was we tried a method whereby we sent them emails to like confirm their emails, right? Um, they also bypass this. They also try to like bypass this. We also like try to implement social authentication. Currently, like only allow GitHub.
Yeah.
So I think GitHub already does a great job in terms of creating an account, right? In terms of managing users, right? So what we did was integrate with GitHub. We allow GitHub and do the whole authentication processes. So these are something that you can. These are things that you can also try to like implement. Not handling everything yourself, or try to like validate their email before they create their account, right? Yeah. So I think this is all I have to say about that. Um, okay.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. So I've used Django a lot before, and it just gives me an easy way for me to focus on on building the functionality, and it takes care of the security part of it. Very very easy. If you are using Django, I would definitely recommend trying out a lot. I don't think I have used their social
Okay.
authentication
Yeah.
functionality, but yes, I don't think I've used that before. But I know that I've used the main the email password stuff. And as for
Yeah.
sending code to users email address, funny enough, when I started coding, as I was building projects, I thought that that was the standard way to do things. So whenever I create an authentication process in the backend,
Yeah.
I do send code to the user email address. And to me, it was like the standard thing, the more secure thing, in fact.
Yeah. Actually, it's not like the standard. I mean, I've created accounts on a lot of platforms that All I
Yeah.
just need to do is enter my bill and my password, right? And boom, that's all. It just redirects me to like the dashboard. I'm talking about fully funded startups that are big, right? Um, or I would say, what I would say is it's not actually standard. You sending mails or sending code to developers' email or sending it to, I think Sophia dropped off, right? Okay, I'll just continue. So, you sending code is not like standard in a lot of companies. Yeah, that's actually it. Um, there are also other ways you can use. So these, I want to, I want to try to like remember this method. So there's something GitHub currently does, right? So when
Yeah.
you try to use GitHub for something, they require you to check probably the code on your app. So let's just say you have like the mobile app. They require you to
Okay.
probably enter that number on the app. So that's like a very good authentication flow for me, because someone can have access to my GitHub, but then once you try to do anything, they still need to like have access to my phone and then agree, like allow whatever they want to do, right, in the app. So that's like very very good for me. Yeah, man, I think GitHub has like a lot of flows that you can use, but then this mobile app kind of authentication is probably the best for me personally. Yeah, I think you dropped off earlier.
Yes. I noticed that I was having network issues. Can you see me and hear me very well?
Yeah, I can see
Okay.
you.
All right. All right. Okay. I've sorted that out. So, I don't think I have tried the GitHub authentication. The GitHub stuff that you mentioned. Um,
Is it the code, like the app,
yes,
using the
the
app
app.
for authentication? Yeah, I think once you download the app, probably to start sending you code, or you need to allow the flow. Probably you need to enable it on your dashboard. I think so. I can't remember. You should try and download the app and see if they would require you to enable it or not.
Like to download the GitHub main app, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The mobile app.
Okay,
So after downloading
okay.
it, I think you can also enable the flow. So when probably so this is how it works, right? After enabling it, so let's take for instance, you want to use Git Secure, right? You need to install the app on Git Secure, right? You need to install like GitHub app on Git Secure, right? So during the
Yeah.
process of installing, it requires, in some cases, it requires you to um, use the code right on your phone. So they'll ask you use this code on your phone to agree to this flow, right? So all I can just do is open my mobile app, enter the number they show on my dashboard, and then boom, it will take me. It would continue the flow and then complete the
Um,
integration. So these are like some of the places where GitHub has imputed this, and I think I love how they have handled all their authentication flows and authorization flows here. To be honest,
oh, oh, oh. Okay, okay. I think I understand what you mean now. I think I understand what you mean.
yeah,
And then when it comes to GitHub, there's something that I noticed recently. I was building a tool using the GitHub API, and I noticed that I tried sending a request to their API and I got an error. So you would need to use your personal access token to authenticate your
yeah,
request before it goes through. So that's to also create like an additional security layer
yeah,
yes, on when using the platform.
yeah. On that using of tokens, I think
Yeah.
they also went like a little bit more further to like improve that flow. Right? I mean, when creating like a GitHub app, so for Git Secure, when we were working on like the integration, we needed to like create an app. We needed to like add the permissions we would use, right? We also
Yeah.
needed to like create a couple of tokens, right? And those tokens we needed to like add those permissions to it, right? So adding those permissions and say, oh, you'd have access to code push, you'd have access to code pulling, you'd have access to editing of code and all that. I think that's like very, very good because there are some malicious platforms that might just want to have access to your code, right? So what you can do is GitHub. So before you install it, GitHub will show you, oh, they'll have
Yeah.
access to pushing of code, they'll have access to editing your code, they'll have access to probably deleting users too, right? So you would see all those things and you can probably just disallow it, right? Yourself. So this is where like using of tokens and GitHub app like shines, right? It prevents you just mistakenly installing your app on a platform that is not like valid or is not secure. Yeah, I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, but then this is like a
Oh
very
no.
good flow in terms
Oh,
of using of tokens and creating GitHub apps.
yes, yes. I
Um,
I definitely understand that.
so I think I skipped something. I was supposed to talk about some security testing techniques. I mentioned static application security testing, right? But then I did not
Yes.
like really go into detail on what um, static application security testing is. So what I mean by static application security testing is basically just analyzing your code for security flaws, right? So for example, what WAPS and GitSecure does is static application security testing, right? They pick those codes that you've written, they analyze it for vulnerability without executing your code. So let's just say you have a Django application. Without running the application, they can help you test it, right? So we also have other
Okay.
techniques like DAST, which is dynamic application security testing, kind of like testing your application. Um, so basically, they run the application and then test it. So for example, APIs, right? You run the API and then test it, right? So
Oh,
unlike static application security testing that you don't does not require you to run the application. Dynamic application
yeah.
security it requires you to like it runs the application and then test it, right? So there's also like penetration testing, right? So what penetration testing does is it simulates. So let's take for instance myself, right? You have a platform, right? I can just come try to impute malicious code there and try to corrupt your platform, right? So what penetration testing means is the process I do, I can do manually and just go to your platform, test it, try to hack your platform or try to like shut down your platform and all that. So penetration testing does that automatically, right? So there are tools you can use like Zap. So Zap would help you run your platform, impute data. Maybe let's just say you have a blog platform. It helps you logs in. It logs in automatically. It enters the credential, tests it for the strength of the authentication. Sorry about that. I think um, my Wi-Fi was disconnected. Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you confirm if you can hear me? Sophia, I can't
Yes,
hear
I can.
you.
I
Sophia,
can.
I can hear you now.
I can.
Yeah. So for penetration test, I think that was where I stopped. Sorry about that,
Yes.
guys. So penetration testing basically just simulates real world attack on your application. So um, you can think of a way like an hacker can just come to your platform and try to like hack your platform, right? So the exact same thing that the hacker will do, probably try to authorize himself, try to perform some SQL injection. So basically, that's what penetration testing tools will do, right? So they try to log in, they try to find vulnerabilities in your application, and then they'll give you those results, and this is where you have vulnerabilities, this is what you should do, and this is how you should prevent it in the future, right? So there are tools that can help you with this. We have tools like Pint, we have tools like Veracode, we have tools like Snake. I'm not sure SendGrid does penetration testing. Okay, yeah, we have Aikido. Aikido does penetration testing too. And as for tools that does static application security testing, SAST for short, we have WAPS AI, we have Sneak does SAST too. We have SendGrab, we have Bandit. So Bandit is like a Python package that can help you with static application security testing. So as for dynamic application security testing, we have tools like Veracode. I think Snake does that too. We have Aikido. Aikido does dynamic application security testing too, and yeah, Veracode too does it. So you can check out these tools. They have like the free tier, generous free tier that you can always use. You don't actually need to pay as an individual developer, so you can just jump on them and start practicing, right? So you can also like without learning all these tools, you can also like call yourself a security engineer because these are the tools that security engineers do use. um, so what they do is they use these tools to try to prioritize vulnerabilities that can impact your system, and they just probably majority of them can just create tickets and then tell you, oh, this is what you need to fix, right? So you knowing how to use these tools personally can you can call yourself a security engineer to be honest, right? And do the job of a security engineer. Yeah. So that's it for these security testing techniques. Yeah. I don't know if you have any
Hmm.
question. You need clarity on anything. Yeah.
I think I did have questions, and you probably answered like a lot of them, like the techniques and the differences in static testing and dynamic testing. So,
Yeah.
since I'm having like very bad network, we might have to end the stream before the scheduled time. So, before we do that, I would love you to tell us more about Git Secure.
Yeah. So GetSecure is I would say GetSecure is an application security platform for engineering teams, right? So the let me start with this. The idea for creating GetSecure was that we wanted to bridge the gap between software engineers and security engineers, right? So the current ratio of software engineers, security engineers in enterprises today is around 100 to 1, right? And for a security engineer to come on board, review your PRO for vulnerabilities, or even use tools for reviewing your PROs automatically. So you still need to like that alone would take more than an hour to do that for 100 developers. It still needs to prioritize the kind of vulnerabilities that needs to be fixed that would impact the platform or the application you guys are currently building. It still needs to push those tickets to whichever task manager you are using, right? And you as a developer too will have to find time, maybe during the week, to fix those vulnerabilities, right? So what we try to do is remove this whole process for you, right? So what we do is immediately you push a particular code, so you just git push, right? Git secure
Yeah.
runs a scanner on your code, detects that vulnerability inside of your code. It alerts you probably on Slack, your mail, right? So after alerting you, you probably need to go like to the platform. So if you're using WAPs, you can do it directly inside of your ID. But if you're using the platform, you have to go to the platform. It gives you detailed information on why it was flagged as a vulnerable code, right? And lastly, you also have an AI agent that helps you generate automated fixes to those vulnerabilities. So initially, you might have to like take hours to research on why it's a vulnerable code, how you need to fix it and all that. But then it does it automatically. So this is what GitSecure does, and yeah, I just hope you guys can check it out. And then yeah, you can always tag me on Twitter or I'll say X, formerly Twitter. You can also tag me on LinkedIn. You can also tag me on LinkedIn, right? And I'll be there to like answer any of your questions, right? Yeah. Thank you very much.
Nice. Yeah. So um I think we still have like 10 more minutes. So if you do have a question on code security, you can ask in the chat. Um while okay, yes, Daniel, you also made mention of WASP, which I know that it's like a part of Git Secure. Can you also talk about that?
Yeah. So for WAPs, the motivation behind WAPs was um, my teammates creating PRs. We have to review that PR, right? And it has to go back to VS Code and fix whatever improvement we said, okay, improve this code, right? This code is vulnerable, so it has to go back to VS Code, right? So this alone, after creating the PR, you need to wait hours for us to review manually, and then you need to go back to VS Code and then fix. So the whole context switching from VS Code to GitHub. So we wanted to like cut that process short, right? So we thought of a way, why not create an assistant that helps you review your code directly inside of VS Code, right? So my job as a reviewer might just like be cut short. So I just need to do is see, oh, are they like minor changes? But then there are really minor changes after using WAPs. So yeah, so WAPs helps you with code reviews, code quality reviews, code security reviews, and it also helps you fix whichever issues it finds inside of your code, right? Yeah, so that's basically all about it, all about WAPs. So we currently support only VS Code. Um, Depending on like the demand, we might probably build an integration for other IDs that you can use. Yeah, so that's all about it for WAPs.
Awesome. Well, since we have to end the stream now, Daniel, thank you for coming here to talk about code security. I mean, I'm definitely sure I left this or I'm leaving this stream with so much knowledge on software testing, and now I know some tools I can try like snakes. I'm sorry, snake stacks. Sorry, stats. Um,
Snake, yeah.
Snake start, Cogia, Bandits. I'm, I already use Git Secure and WAPS. So thank you for really coming here. Still a bit sad that we have to end the stream early because of my bad network. But hopefully next time you can join us and you can give us a code, um, a live coding session where you really
Yeah,
show us how Git Secure really works.
yeah. I'm actually excited, and I think we should do it. So I can like give you like an hands-on usage on probably WAPs, on how to like review your
Yeah.
code with WAPs, how you find vulnerabilities with WAPs, and how you can fix it, right? So I think we should also like set up time for the stream. Um, yeah, it can be next month. It can be whichever. Whenever I have time, I'll be happy to like come on board and
All
yeah,
right.
and give you guys like hands-on demo. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for that. So, thank you everyone for really joining us. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for the people that watched live and the people that will be watching after. If you have any question for Daniel, you can reach him on X or Twitter. Um, I linked his profile here, and I have another stream on Saturday by 5 p.m. West African time, and that would be a live coding session where Ashutosh would be building a sentiment analysis using Python. I am not a data science or machine learning dev, so I really don't know what a sentiment analysis is. So if you are curious about that or you want to learn a thing or two about analysis, do well to subscribe to the channel to get notified when I go live on Saturday. And see you next time then. Bye, everyone.